Good afternoon, everyone. Jim Ake. I'd like to call the meeting to order, the Westfield Board of Public Works and Safety meeting today, 12/21/22 at 1 p.m. Will the clerk please note the presence of a quorum?
Mayor Cook,
Present.
Larry Carino,
Here.
Jim Ake.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
Thank you. First order of business today is approval of the meeting minutes from our last meeting. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes as stated for the November 16th, 2022 meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes, the motion carries. The minutes are approved. Moving on to contracts and agreements, and I will announce that there are no changes to the agenda, so it will be as published. Moving on to contracts and agreements, action item number 2, City of Westfield 2023 Personnel Policy, Procedure, and Benefits Manual Update. Hi, good morning. Good afternoon. You can.
My apologies. This is the first time I've been to this meeting, so
Well,
my name is-
welcome.
Thank you, thank you. My name is Brady Laux, for record, HR Director. I will be presenting this in the place of Jeremy today, Chief of Staff, as he is out today. So I'll keep it pretty simple. We did send the final draft version as well as the red line version. Also a summary of the policy changes, which there were about 8. So with that, those were sent about a week ago. I will open the floor if you guys have any questions for me.
I have none because I read through it and there were a lot of just grammar corrections for the most part, and then you mentioned the 8 issues. Does anybody else have any questions about?
I think we've been over it quite well.
So, Ed, thank you. You
You're
did a
welcome.
great job for your first
Thank
time.
you.
I'm so impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Reed. At this time, if there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
So move.
All right, I have a motion.
I'll second.
Of course, Mayor Cook, and then Larry Clarino seconds. All those in favor of approving the 2023 Personnel Policy, Procedures, and Benefits Manual signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Action item number 2 is approved. Moving on to action number 3, the Westfield and Westy Land Acquisition LLC Settlement Agreement. Who's presenting? Anyone?
Michael.
I think John Nail is supposed to be presenting this. I'm not sure where he's at. If we can move on, I can present some of the other items.
Mr. Nails.
There he is. He's appeared.
Mr. Nail, welcome. Traffic bad? Okay.
Every time I pull up on Union, they think I'm a police officer, so they drive about 15 miles per hour.
We're on your West Tech settlement agreement.
Chris, are you? Thank you. Perfect. All right. Well, I'll do my best to explain what's going on with this one. Let me get to the GIS first. Oh, perfect. What? Look at you with your knowledge of URL codes. All right, so we did the Westfield Boulevard Extension project several years ago that tied down into 151st Street roundabout. Went under US 31. During that project, one particular parcel, it's this one that I'm highlighting on the screen, we acquired, you can see that on the GIS there is not right-of-way shown. We basically built the road under a right of entry, I believe, that was negotiated with the property owner because we had gone to condemnation at the time with the property owner and deposited $67,000 with the courts based on appraisals. My understanding is that the lawsuit itself never actually moved forward, and that the court-appointed appraisers came back with a total number of $264,000, I believe, is the referenced amount for the right-of-way value on this in the settlement agreement. And so essentially what we're working with the developer to do, or with the property owner to do, is to release the $67,000 that we deposited with the court, which would have gone to the property owner regardless. And then the remaining $179,500 that we would owe for the right-of-way acquisition that was necessary for this roadway, we will grant in road impact fee credits when this particular property owner decides to develop the ground. It's pretty advantageous for us, I would say. It's kind of a win-win. The property owner views the road impact fee credits just as good as cash, as he should. And it's helpful for us because we can credit those road impact fees when they're generated rather than coming out of pocket for the remaining amount. So I think it's a good settlement. It's a good compromise. We certainly need to get the right-of-way acquired for the roadway because we did just build it under a right of entry at the time. So it gets the GIS cleaned up. It shows the correct right-of-way. It makes the property owner whole, and it's good from a cash flow perspective for the city. So with that said, I would ask that the board approve this settlement agreement, and we will enter into the road impact fee credit agreement with this property owner accordingly.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Jonathan?
Taking a long time, huh?
Yeah, again, this was all before my time, so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to get up to speed on it myself.
This was all part of the US 31 project 8 years ago, probably by now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will so move to accept the settlement.
I will second. All those in favor of approving action item number 3, City of Westfield and West Tech Land Acquisition LLC, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. All right. Action item number 4, City of Westfield and A&F Engineering 2023 on-call contract.
Yeah, so A&F Engineering is a firm that we work pretty closely with. Their specialty really is traffic engineering, but they've also done some roundabout design in the past for us. They designed 169th and Spring Mill roundabout for us, as well as the Wheeler and State Road 32 intersection improvement project. From time to time, we're asked to do traffic studies, traffic counts, those types of activities. And we have, for the last several years, had just an on-call contract annually with A&F to provide those services. So we call them up, they jump to it and get us traffic counts when we need them, traffic analysis when we need it. It's just on an hourly rate as of the time that they spend, and not to exceed $20,000, which I believe matches what we did last year as well in 2022. So they still continue to do good work for us, and I would recommend that we approve this 2023 on-call contract with A&F Engineers.
And how much is it, John?
$20,000 not to exceed. We only pay.
I was going to
what we
ask you, what
spend.
did you use this year?
It was less than 20,000. I'd have to look at the numbers, but
Yeah,
probably
but
like 12,
it was less than
12,000, something like that, probably. Just off the top of my head. So we only pay for what we use.
Very good.
Any other questions?
Are they the guys, I've noticed the last couple weeks, radio antennas by stop signs and things, is that them?
They are also doing our road impact fee study update. And so, yes, the traffic counts that you're seeing that are being taken on a weekly basis in Westfield right now as part of that road impact fee study that A&F is doing. So short answer is yes.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right. Guess.
Whoever.
Second?
Okay, Larry put in the motion, and then Mayor Cook seconded. All those in favor of approving action item number 4, the A&F contract, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So motion carries 3-0. Action item number 5, City of Westfield and Stantec Carno.
Yeah, so this is just a bit of house cleaning, house cleaning is the right expression, I guess. So we have a contract, an ongoing contract with Cardno. It's a company that they do our environmental mitigation review and our environmental mitigation studying of some of the areas that we've done in the past to make sure that the trees that we've planted are continuing to grow, and they provide recommendations and replanting as needed in some of those mitigation areas. It's a fairly small contract, but Cardno was acquired by a company called Stantec, and as part of that acquisition, this is just a document agreeing to assign the contract that we have with Cardno to Stantec as part of the acquisition. It's really just some housekeeping that we need to do. I put it in front of the Board of Public Works, given that you guys are the contract holders, and just want to make you aware of it.
You happy with them?
Yeah, Cardno, same people are still in the Cardno office. They just are under a different name. So they do great work for us.
Okay.
So this is just a transfer of contract.
Yep, exactly.
All right, thank you. I'd make a motion, if there's no further discussion, to approve action item number 5, City of Westfield and Stantec Cardno.
I'll second.
Okay, Larry Corrino seconded. All those in favor of approving action item number 5, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Action item number 6, City of Westfield and Christopher Burke Engineering, on-call stormwater services. And I guess Michael.
Yes, I'm here actually presenting on behalf of our stormwater coordinator, Wes Rude. He asked me to stand in for him today. This is an on-call contract with Christopher Burke Engineering, very similar to what we just presented with A&F Engineering, only this is for stormwater instead of traffic. They have had on-call contracts with us previously. I believe their last one was in 2021. But this will be an on-call contract where we use them kind of on an as-needed basis, billed hourly basis. This one is for $40,000. There are a couple of tasks that are already assigned in this contract as far as work on our MS4 permitting, updates to that, as well as some illicit discharge detection and elimination items that Christopher Burke will be performing for us. But we just ask that you approve this on-call contract with Christopher Burke for stormwater services.
This is also a not to exceed, correct?
You're right. Correct.
Thank
Yep, not to exceed 40,000.
Any questions?
Is there a reason there wasn't a contract for last year?
I believe that the contract that was previously approved ran for up until the funds were exhausted, and that was about last year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Gotcha.
I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll
Have a
second.
motion by Andy Cook, a second by Larry Corrino. All those in favor of approving action item number 6, Christopher R. Burke Engineering, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Action item number 7, City of Westfield and H&N Outdoor Services. Who's presenting?
So this is timely because we are expecting a pretty significant snow event tomorrow into the weekend. This is a contract for goods and services for snow removal, specifically in our residential local streets. We have historically contracted that work out. Our street department focuses on the big arterials, collectors, to keep those clear, and we have contractors that work through the neighborhoods in most cases. Our provider previously was Brightview. We had them under contract, and they notified us, I think late October this year, they could no longer fulfill their service for snow removal due to labor shortage, mainly, I think is what they cited. So we have had to scramble to some extent to find a replacement for that service. So we did a request for quotes. We reached out to several landscape companies that do this type of work, and unfortunately, several of them responded that they would not put in a quote, again, citing labor shortage and some of those concerns. However, H&N, who is a company we've worked with fairly significantly on the street department side, doing some landscape projects for us already. They did put in a quote, which was, we felt, very competitive. And the item before you is the contract for goods and services for H&N to do what we refer to as the north zone for snow removal. And I'll show you the map for that. It is Exhibit B towards the bottom. So, yeah, north zone, essentially, kind of generally speaking, north of 32. There's some portions that dive down south, but that is the area for which they'll be responsible for. One thing I did notice, and part of why I was a little bit tardy to this meeting, I do want to amend this to include the rates that they were providing. Somehow that response to the RFP did not get included in the document on the agenda. So I will send that out. But for your knowledge, the way we structure these proposals is based on the number of inches that we receive from a snow event. So you can imagine that an 8-inch snow takes significantly more effort from this company than a 3-inch snow, right? So H&N, just for your reference, from the 1 to 3.9 inch range, their quoted rate is $5,779. From 4 to 5.9 is $11,244. 6 to 7.9 is $22,370, and 8 inches plus is $44,740. I will get you that information after the meeting. I apologize for not having that on the agenda item. As you might expect, what we're seeing with these new quotes are higher rates than what we've paid in the past. Again, labor shortage, material costs, all of those things factor into it. And then I have, if you bear with me for a second, I have the old rates from Brightview. Well, I will get you a cost comparison to those. It is higher, but I think H&N's proposal is quite competitive given the environment that we're seeing today. And I will say that they have done some excellent work for us recently, both for some park landscaping projects as well as trash and mowing contracts that we have with them. So,
John, did you say 3 inches to plow half the city is how much?
$5,779.64 is their proposal.
You couldn't buy a snowplow for that amount of money.
I would agree. Yep. What you'll see, and the next item is the south zone, which is
Okay.
Practical Property Group. How they determine their rates is their business decision. I will say that H&N has a pretty steep increase as the depth goes up. But for the lighter snow events, I think their rate is very competitive.
Interesting. Do these contractors have a sign on their truck that states they're a contractor for the city?
Historically, they have not, but I think we can certainly work with them to do that if they'd like. If you'd like that.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can make that happen.
Right, John, the contract is to push snow. What, do they carry salt, or that's, how's that gonna be handled?
They will have, they do typically have salt bins on the back of trucks, generally speaking. The city does a lot of the brining and pre-treatment ourselves, but certainly they have that optionality as well.
Okay.
So they do the subdivisions.
Correct,
You do all the thoroughfares.
correct. Yep.
And
And we'll help out with subdivisions if we need to, obviously, and, depending on the event.
So who determines if we have 3.9 or 4 inches?
So I believe we use the National Weather Service officially, and to my knowledge, I don't think we've had any disputes about that. Obviously, every location in the city of Westfield is not getting the exact same amount of snow, but we try to work with them and determine a meter in which we use as a justification.
Let's go.
Now, this contract is for 2 snow seasons? Am I reading that correctly?
It's actually through 2025 in the H&N contract, through the end of December of 25.
So essentially 2 snow seasons, if you will.
Yeah,
23,
provided we don't have
24.
early snow in 25, I would say, yeah.
And there's no escalator for the second year or anything like that?
There is an escalator for additional lane miles that they provide a rate. So as the number of lane miles, new subdivisions come online over that time period of the contract, we add, I think it was $49 per mile to their rates. Because as you can expect, we have residential neighborhoods building out over time. And when those streets go from performance bond to maintenance bond, we take ownership of snow removal duties at that time. So that would be added into their contract.
Okay, I didn't see any of that in the contract.
Yeah, so again, my apologies. The actual proposal that they provided us did not get into this contract as an exhibit, but I will send that over to you guys as soon as this meeting's over. It includes the rates as well as the escalator there.
Any more discussion? I move to approve the City of Westfield and H&N Outdoor Services contract for plowing with the caveat to amend to include, this motion will include the rate chart to be added as an exhibit.
I'll second.
I have a second by Larry Clarino. All those in favor of approving action item number 7, the H&N Outdoor Services contract, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Action item number 8 takes care of the Southern District.
Yep, that's right. So this is a Practical Property Group. Again, same situation as the H&N that I explained. They do the southern zone for us, or their proposals for the southern zone. And just as a comparison, the 1 to 3.9 inch snowfall, that's actually a $12,228 rate. But you'll see that as the depth goes up from 4 to 5.9, it's 19,076, 6 to 7.9 is 25,435, and then 8 inches plus is $40,012. So a little bit more flat rate as the depth of snow increases compared to H&N. Again, I will say that although the baseline rate of 1 to 3.9 inches is significantly higher than the H&N quote, I do think that this is as good as we're going to find in the current environment. So again, I would recommend that we approve this. Certainly, we expect plenty of snow in the very near future, and we need all the help we can get when it comes to removal in our neighborhoods.
So Jonathan, how many public street neighborhoods do we have that have chosen to use a private service themselves? Bridgewater for one.
Yeah, Bridgewater is one. To be honest, I can't think of any others off the top of my head. That doesn't mean that they aren't out there, but I'm just not aware of them.
Okay, so even if they plow the snow, we still do some salting, isn't that right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say the caveat there is neighborhoods that elect to have private streets like that are gated, that are streets that we don't do anything to because they are gated.
Yeah.
We have a couple of neighborhoods like that in the city, but when it comes to public streets, they are our responsibility, and we take great pride in keeping them clear.
How many, varies from year to year, I guess, how many big snowfalls have we had in the last, how many incidents of big snowfalls over?
It seems to always happen on Christmas, New Year's, and the Super Bowl for whatever reason.
Okay, all right.
But it does vary greatly from year to year. I think last year we had one relatively large one, but overall it was a pretty light year. There's some years where we get several very small events, but no major ones. So it really depends a
It's
lot.
all over, all across the board. All right, thank you.
Where do the funds come from? Are they part of your budget or?
Yep. So 2 sources. Public Works, the general fund, pays for portions of snow removal, and as well as a lot of salary and overtime pay for removal. We also have appropriations in the MVH fund, Motor Vehicle Highway Fund, for subgrade materials inclusive of salt. So there is some money coming out of that MVH fund, which is a fund that gets distributed through the state to us for some of that work as well.
Are our salt barns full?
We are ready to go. We got all the brine, all the salt. We're ready to rock.
All right, thank you. Is there savings with the brine system overall?
Yeah, I think we've seen pretty good results. And I mean, obviously it's an added cost overall, but from the number of times you have to pass, as well as just it's hard to put a price on safety, right? The brine, the one thing it does really well is when it first starts to accumulate, you get that melting effect, and you get roads that may be a little wet but not icy. And the ice is where we see a lot of the issues happening, so it's hard to put a price on safety.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to approve the City of Westfield and Practical Property Group contract.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor of approving City of Westfield and Practical Property Group contract signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Action item number 9, Westfield Fire and Medbill Corporation Billing Service Agreement. Chief Gaylor.
This is an agreement with City of Westfield and Medbill Company to do our EMS billing. We have been historically with Acumed and opted to go with a different company moving forward. Most of the reasons are we're getting a better rate. Acumed was charging about 6%. These folks are 5.9%. They're a local company as far as Castleton. Acumed was out of Michigan, and the other reason is customer service. So we get a lot of complaints from patients that we would transport. They would have an issue with their bill, and they would call us, and dealing with the billing company, they really struggled and weren't really very nice to our people. So reached out to these folks, and they come back in with a better contract. And one thing of note, I think the contract that you guys actually have here, after we send it through legal, has been amended and has changed, and I have that, and I can send it to you so you have it at the end of the meeting. Other than that, pretty standard medical billing contract, nothing out of the ordinary. Would entertain any questions that you may have.
When I read through that, they had various percentages of fees. It was hard to follow in some respects, but I'm glad to hear you say it's a cost savings to the city and eliminate some problems and administrative work on your part, it sounds like.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
All right. I'd entertain a motion to approve action item number 9, the Medbill Corporation and Westfield, between the Medbill Corporation and Westfield Fire Department.
So moved.
A motion by Larry Clarino,
Second.
second by Mayor Cook. All those in favor of approving action item number 5, Westfield Fire Department Medbill Corporation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda is the City of Westfield and USI Consultants Professional Services Contract. Michael.
Professional services contract with USI Consultants, which we're looking to hire to design a future roundabout at 181st and Wheeler Road. This is a project we've been applying for federal funds for quite a while. We know it's one of the more important intersections that we need to address as far as a congestion standpoint goes. So we've once again applied for federal funding for this project this year, hoping to receive that for this project. But even in lieu of that, we're going to go ahead and start the design process with USI so we can at least get the design process rolling, whether or not we get federal funding. We'd be trying to build this basically as quickly as possible. But usually with the federal funding, it's a 4 to 5 year runway before we can actually get to construction. But even in the case that we receive federal funding, we try to build this sooner than that and then ask for reimbursement when funds become available. So this contract is for $294,300, which is comparable to other roundabouts that we've designed in the past with other firms. So this includes survey, utility coordination, roadway design, all of the things that are typical with an engineering project of this nature. So we ask that you approve this agreement for design on this project.
I'll add some context because Michael's being humble. So we did apply for federal funding through the MPO on this project. We received word last Friday afternoon, at least on the preliminary list of awarded projects, we were one of the funded projects. That this particular one, 181st and Wheeler, is at least preliminarily, it'll be approved at a meeting in the future, but we are on the preliminary award list to receive $2.3 million in federal funding for this project. When I say federal funding, it's really funding through the MPO, distributed through the MPO. And as part of our application, we understood that we couldn't wait 5 years to do this project. Instead, what we had proposed was to build the project as quickly as possible while following all the requirements necessary. And then once the federal funds become available in fiscal year 27, I believe, the MPO would cut us a check for our reimbursement once the money was there. So we're kind of paying for it up front to get it done and then being reimbursed on the back end later. But kudos to Michael for putting together the application and getting the award.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Any other questions?
This is that intersection that was a four-way stop and now it's a two-way stop, correct?
So it's still a four-way stop today. I think the one you're thinking about, Larry, is further west, the new alignment, Grand Park Boulevard, that we just opened up a couple weeks ago. That is a two-way stop in the 181st Street direction.
That's the one that's getting all the publicity for the two-way stop, so.
It is, yeah. And we'll continue to monitor the safety on that one. The idea there is to have free-flowing traffic through Grand Park, up to Grand Park on Grand Park Boulevard. And again, 181st Street is a relatively low-traveled road compared to how many visitors come north-south from 32 up to Grand Park. So
It just gets bursts of traffic with school.
Right.
it does, yes, that's true.
If you were gonna four-way stop that, we'd have to live with that every time there's a function at Grand Park, so you gotta weigh those two things together.
Yeah, so we should have the sign up there.
There's signs up that say, new traffic pattern.
Yep.
You have stop-aheads with your whirligigs, I think, and
But it's not just speaking for watching an intersection. It's not the fact that the east and westbound are not stopping. It's the fact that they think that north and south are.
So if they're not out there now, we'll definitely get plaques up there that says cross traffic does not stop.
yeah. I
Good
haven't noticed.
discussion.
I thought that was included. I think they're up, but I'll double check
I
on
think
that.
they are too.
Thank you, Joel, for interjecting that comment. It was very good. Any other discussion? Then I'd entertain, I'll make a motion to approve action item number 10, City of Westfield and USI Consultants Professional Services Contract. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Mayor Cook. All those in favor of approving the motion before us signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Action item number 7, City of Westfield and Coronado Development Corporation, Sycamore Glen Development Agreement. Michael.
Sure. So Sycamore Glen is a 31-lot residential subdivision that's proposed just south of 159th Street. They have a public roadway that basically runs down the middle of that. Per our construction standards, because they are tying into 159th Street, they'd be required to build A-cell and D-cell lanes, as well as resurface 159th Street 50 feet past the end of any of their tapers. 159th Street actually was just resurfaced within the last year and a half by Bent Creek when they built their entrance, and those two entrances basically align across the street. So rather than have this developer resurface that roadway after it had just been resurfaced, a year and a half ago, We worked with them to basically just pay what essentially equates to road impact fee for that cost, rather than having them resurface that resurfaced roadway. So this is basically a developer agreement for them to pay $34,000 to us in lieu of resurfacing that roadway, which we can then use for other roadway improvements elsewhere. So I'd ask that you approve this agreement so that we can accept that payment for this development.
Thank you. Any questions for Michael?
I do not.
Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Larry Clarino.
Second.
Second by Mayor Cook. All those in favor of approving action item number 11, the Coronado Development Corporation Sycamore Glen Development Agreement, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. We get into permit approval. Action item number 12, we have a request from Duke Energy for an encroachment permit.
Yeah, we've seen several of these before. Really, I can talk about both of them. But Duke is replacing one pole for the first action item 12. And where did the work plan go? There we go. Replacing one pole on 166th Street, west of Town Road. The pole is being replaced and put back, certainly no closer to the roadway. It doesn't make sense financially for Duke to go underground just for one additional pole. It's as far back from the roadway as right-of-way permits, and we have taken a look at this. We don't have any significant safety concerns with their plan for the particular pole replacement for this first one. So with that said, I would ask that you approve action item 12.
So it's just a replacement and it goes back in the same position?
Yeah, I think they're removing one and adding one, I believe is what it equates to for action item 12.
Okay.
But again, per our encroachment permit process, the Board of Public Works does approve these encroachment permits because it is within our right of way.
Okay. So, and you want to take these both together?
They're separate action items, so probably I would imagine that Jewel would say rule on them separately.
All right. We'll consider action item number 12. Any questions? Hearing none, I move that we approve action item number 12, encroachment permit Duke Energy on East 166th Street.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second by Mayor Cook. All those in favor of approving action item number 12, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. We have another encroachment permit request from Duke Energy at Joliet Road, action item number 13.
Yeah, similar encroachment permit. This one is on Joliet Road, just north of State Road 32. And I want to make sure I've got the information right on this one because I'm not as familiar with this one. Yeah, another pole replacement. That's what I thought. I thought it was a pole replacement. I wanted to confirm that. Another pole replacement on the west side of Joliet Road. This one, they are putting it in line with the existing poles. I would say it's relatively close to the edge of pavement, but it's short of moving every single pole on the west side of Joliet Road and acquiring right-of-way. I think this is a repair that we should be allowing to occur. They are going to have to close one lane of traffic during the actual replacement for this particular one. I will say, historically, I haven't seen any safety concerns with regards to poles on this road. And again, it would be cost prohibitive for them to go underground at this particular location for just a single pole replacement. So I think it would be prudent to approve this one as well.
Boy, that's close. Yeah. Okay. Any
Jonathan, I think,
discussion?
just to be a pain in the butt to these guys, at some point in time, if they don't want to go underground and they don't want to go to the edge of future right-of-way, let's think about considering guardrails
Okay.
at their expense. If they want to be in your safety zone, then they can guardrail as other obstacles have to do.
We
Just a,
Yeah,
Oh,
I think that's a fair point. We've done that with some developers in places where they put in passing blisters for entrances, and we're strategically centering those passing blisters between power poles. We have required some guardrail to protect power poles by developers. We haven't done that with Duke yet, but I think that's a valid point.
thank you.
I would agree with Mayor Cook's comments. I just think that's, I don't know, that's so close. Just like to protect the public as much as we can, particularly along State Road 32 and the speeds that people go through there. Any other comments? Might I entertain a motion?
Can we add that guardrail thing?
You're welcome to. We could approve the encroachment permit contingent on guardrail being provided. I would like to get maybe some additional measurements. I know that the drawing I showed shows it pretty close to the roadway. The line work here is not surveyed line work, it's just pulled from GIS, so.
That's why I say it's pretty hard for us to
It is,
make that
I
comment.
recognize that.
I'd like to suggest that we don't do that here, but
It's an option in the future.
I think we need to develop a policy,
Mhm.
so we're consistent
Mhm.
on when that would apply. And we'll need to get feedback on that, but it's something I'd like to see Public Works do when you have time.
Yep, sure. We are going to be looking to update our encroachment permit ordinance sometime in 2023, most likely. So that's something we can take a look at in that process.
Well, while we're on the encroachment permits, one thing I'd like for you to reiterate to all our holders is I am seeing a whole lot of trucks on our pathways.
Mhm.
And and you guys can't be everywhere looking at this stuff. I realize that, but I don't know if you need to increase the fine if somebody's done that. Something's got to grab their attention.
Yeah, that's part of the update that we'd like to do for the encroachment fee ordinance, is that some of the processing fees are outdated relative to some of our costs. So
Very good.
We're going to look at that.
All right, good discussion. I'd make a motion to approve the encroachment permit, Duke Energy, 18019 Juliet Road. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Larry Carino seconds. All those in favor of approving action item number 13, the encroachment permit for Duke, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Jonathan. That was a very good discussion, I thought. Consent agenda. Any questions about the consent agenda at this time? I'd entertain,
No questions.
I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated. All those in favor signify by saying, oh, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mayor Cook. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as stated signify by saying aye. Aye. And thank you very much. Motion carries 3-0. Consent agenda is approved. And we move into department reports, and we have Chief Gaylor with fire.
Yeah, this, just a standard monthly report. A couple things of note. For the month of November, we actually finished the month of November with more calls than we did in 2021. So right now, we're trending or running along about 7, almost 8%. By the end of the year, we'll be up over 10% in calls, 22 versus 21. Couple highlights, November, we did 432 calls. We had 891 apparatus responses, and our average response time is a minute 33 seconds. So
Is what?
a minute and 33 seconds.
Response in,
So
from when to when?
From the time the bell goes off until we are on the street
Okay.
responding to the call. And we didn't waiver that night or day or station, or that's the average response time for the folks. You know, we averaged 14.9 calls a day for the month of November. And in the first 10 or 11 days of December, we were averaging 17 calls a day. So significant increase. The biggest thing outside of just our monthly fire department report, I just wanted to let everyone know that, hey, we are monitoring the weather situation in the storm event that's coming our way. And we're having countywide, municipal, and other agencies meetings every day for the next 3 or 4 days, and the county EOC established and people there. So we're keeping an eye on it.
I'm not worried about it. I know you will. Both of you. All three of you, actually.
Right.
How's the new fire station? Corporate headquarters.
New fire
right.
station is actually coming along really, really good. They we had a meeting yesterday, as a matter of fact, and they're hanging drywall in the part of the living quarters, bunk room areas and stuff like that. So moving along really good.
Very good. Any other questions for Chief? Thank you.
Just real quickly, with the jump in calls in December, do you have any guesses as to the reason? I mean, what sort of calls are they, or is it just one of those things?
More people are dialing 911.
Okay.
With that, I will say that, you know, with the weather we're seeing, we're going to see extremely cold temperatures over the weekend. And we know every time we get sub-zero like this, our calls aren't necessarily going to increase during the cold snap. It's next week when we reach almost 50 degrees towards the end of the week, when we're going to get a lot of alarm system malfunctions, sprinkler head pipes burst, and things like that. So we're confident that next week is going to be a busy week, running around chasing water leaks and things like that. So we're prepared, but we're keeping an eye on it. As to any jump in calls or why, particular reason, no reason, 10%, kind of what we've been speculating all year. We'll be right in that range of 4,800. Actually, I think when I left the office, we were at 4,725 or something like that. So we'll be well over 4,800 calls and closer to the 5,000 mark by the end of the year.
Thank you. Lease, Joel Rush.
Good afternoon. Merry
Good
Christmas to you. I'm on vacation today, so I just wanted to spend some time with you, so
That's so
came
nice.
in.
I didn't want to
Just
spend
a-
any time with you, particularly on the road, so
Thanks.
it's nice to see you.
Couple updates for you. Nick Clapp was our most recent hire. Graduated from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy on Friday, so he's starting FTO now. We are starting a hiring process. We have our applicants already in as a lateral process again. We have about 27, and we'll start interviewing them probably, I think it's the second or third week of January. And then we've been approved to hire 3 next year, so we'll pick 3 out of that group. The other item I just want to bring your attention, I went to a ceremony yesterday at the prosecutor's office, Hamilton County. Every year they nominate and elect a officer of the year, and our Sergeant Wade Batron, got that this year. So kudos to Wade and all the accolades to him. He's a wonderful sergeant on our department, and just a overall good person. So can't say enough good things about Wade, but I thought I'd just mention that to you. So that's it.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Jonathan, Public Works?
It's all about snow right now, so we're gearing up for the snow event that we'll be seeing tomorrow into and through the weekend. Guys are ready to go. I think we're going to keep them well-fed and well caffeinated if they need it, certainly, to keep the roads clear. In some other news, we did open up Westfield Park Road yesterday afternoon. So that project is open to traffic finally. Do want to thank our inspection team as well as our contractor 3D, who worked through some pretty significant utility relocation issues early in that project and was able to get that one wrapped up before the end of the year. So that should be the last of the paving in 2022 in Westfield, given the temperatures that we're seeing, and we'll be getting ready for a busy construction season in 2023.
Yeah, we'll get some rest because it's going to be busy going forward, so.
The light poles are finally up and operating.
They are, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I should have mentioned that one as well. So I will say the luminaires that are out there are temporary. They don't match exactly the light poles.
That was my next question, yeah.
Yeah, so we were able to rustle up some luminaires that worked with those light poles to get to get the intersection illuminated. When the actual design luminaires come in, they'll swap those out quickly and it'll match the light pole. So some light, light on the intersection, even if it doesn't quite match the pole, is better than no light at all. So happy to have that one lit up. And I know there's a little bit of a stain where the generator was for the light plant. We're going to get that cleaned up as well. We got a plan in place to get that stain removed from some of the soot and stuff like that. So excited to have that one done and behind us.
I think we all are, so thank you for staying with that.
My threat to the contractor was I either want to see the temporary luminaries up or 10 of their employees on step ladders with flashlights.
Lanterns, Mayor,
Lanterns, should have been lanterns.
Okay, I think
That
I
was
might,
frustrating. That was really frustrating.
And I see the little yellow house and Oak and 100 and
Yeah,
U-Haul out front. Did you see that?
the U-Haul and a dumpster, and I assume closing is what, the first?
We actually already closed. We allowed them they had asked for an extension to vacate by the end of the year. So we granted that, didn't affect our demolition schedule. So they were happy about the extension, and they're just getting some of the stuff moved out.
Looks like a lot of stuff in that little house, too.
Well, they got the barn as well.
You never know. Yep. So, excited to get that one going. You'll also see a drainage improvement project near there that'll be bidding in February 2nd, I think, early February, to replace a culvert east of the Oak and 161st Street intersection, as well as some detention pond work to help with some of the flooding there. That'll be underway, and I'm sure you've seen some demolition in the downtown area as part of the Union Square project. So some big changes coming with that project as well. So a lot going on.
Plaza looked very nice over the holidays.
I'm sorry.
The plaza.
Oh, Plaza, yes.
Was great early December and through now. It looks great.
Westfield and Lights was well attended despite some of the cold weather, and so that was a big success. And we're excited to see that park activated even further in 23.
I know we have several of the restaurant folks along Park Street are pretty nervous about the parking situation down there. How's that working out? I mean, I know you guys are doing the best you can, but it's a toughie.
Yeah, it is. With the library construction, that takes up some of the Park Street parking. I'll just note that the old Hardee's parking lot is available for free public parking as well. And then we have some things we're doing, you'll see early in probably late January, maybe early February, with some parcels along Jersey Street that will provide some temporary parking as well. I know that's on the opposite side of the park from Park Street, but again, just trying to provide as much parking as we can during construction of both Union Square and the library, because those parcels were some of the parking we were utilizing previously.
Very good. All right. Any other comments?
It is the winter solstice, right? Meaning, every day
Days
from
gets
here,
longer.
every day lightens up just a little bit going forward. And Merry Christmas, everybody.
And I echo that. Merry Christmas and looking forward to a new year, a better year, and lots of good things happening. So thank you all for your service, and tell your departments we really appreciate everything from the Board of Public Works that they do for this community. And they go, for the most part, above and beyond our expectations. And I certainly appreciate it, and I know these other gentlemen do as well. And our citizens, you represent them very well, very professionally. So thank you for a job well done and a wonderful year that's passed, and we look forward to moving forward next year, so thanks. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. This meeting is closed. Thank you.